Welcome, everyone, to the Sales Strategy Week, March 8th, 2021. We're very excited that you've joined us today for the Google Workspace Platform Compete presentation. We have several esteemed Google representatives here today with us. The first is Sandeep Gupta, Lead Strategic Partner with Google Cloud. We have Kevin Cannon, Compete Lead Solution Engineer with Google Cloud. And we have our very own Jason McManus, Solution Specialist with Ingram Micro. We have an hour-packed session for you today, so without further ado, let me hand it over to Sandeep Gupta of Google Cloud.
First off, happy Monday and happy start to Sales Strategy Week. It's good to be back presenting. Wish we could do this in person, obviously, but I hope you're staying safe and at home with your family and within your communities. 2020 has been a year like none other. COVID has done a number on us from a personal perspective, but I wanted to speak to kind of what it has meant for our business today. The need for businesses to transform the way they work has never been greater, right? COVID is kind of it's forcing digital change to happen, which isn't a new concept in 2021, but it is now critical, right? People are no longer always able to pop into stores or go to school or their office for their every need. Instead, they're going online. Just as this puts businesses with strong online offerings ahead of the competition, companies prioritizing their productivity, their collaboration strategy, if they didn't have one, to go get one, but if they did, also to tweak it, they're going to see a similar benefit in the future as we've been observing. Taking a look at some of the job reports that we've been seeing, you see that business leaders are concerned with how COVID will impact the way people work, while at the same time having very high expectations of the skills that employees will learn, as well as the satisfaction that they will need and require and want. So 94%, in fact, businesses leaders expect employees to pick up new skills, right? And in fact, this represents nearly 50% increase in expectations over the last 2 years, which is quite staggering. In essence, what you have is leaders expecting workers to be less effective, while at the same time having increased expectations of their ability to learn faster, which is quite remarkable. And then by 2023, over 30% of organizations will have questioned their incumbent productivity suite choice, likely examining an alternative such as Google, right? Google Workspace is poised to support those businesses, but face stiff competition, namely from Microsoft. And so today in this session, we will discuss ways in which to help get your partners and their customers out of the office and into the workspace. And with that, I will hand it over to my esteemed colleague and Google peer on the next page.
Great. Thank you so much for that, Sandeep. Hi, everyone. My name is Kevin Cannon. I'm part of the Google Cloud Solutions Engineering Compete team. Really excited to get the chance to talk to you guys about competitive positioning and following up with what Sandeep had said, really an exceptional opportunity that we have for us this year. This is a report that I hope that everyone is familiar with. I do want to talk about it for a moment. It's a great way to leverage and how you should be thinking about positioning us. This was made by an outside firm on the behavior impact of productivity suite change. So it's going to help your customers to understand how Google Workspace improves behavior. The report was made comparing two sets of 350 users across the US and EMEA that was transitioning from Office to either Google Workspace or to O365. And these metrics matter because they help address businesses and companies' cultural goals. So this report includes 45 statistics grouped into sections related to business problems. And the value underneath this asset that's available to both partners and sellers is the report also shows that data silos are more of a problem with Microsoft. And Jason, if you'll click, you'll see that real quick right there. So yeah, a tremendous report for everyone to continue to leverage. But now let's talk about our competitive positioning. So Google Workspace positioning is based on streamlined advantages being thoughtfully woven into our solution. And there's 3 layers to how you can think about that from our positioning. And the first one is our value proposition. We always lead with that, okay? This is really what people come to us expecting. It's what we do. It's what we're good at. So the first tier of that is flexibility. So we pioneer real-time collaboration. We continue to innovate and make experiences more fluid, seamless, and effective experiences. Our tools have always been accessible with just an internet connection. You've never needed to be tied to an office. And our extensive ecosystem of third-party extensions, APIs, and developer tools makes it easy to customize Google Workspace to fit customer needs. So we don't lock our customers in. The second part of that pillar is helpfulness. So instead of distracting or adding additional steps to get something done, Google Workspace anticipates needs and augments work so that customers can best maximize their time. And the third part of our value prop is simple. So the first thing new users consistently comment on when they go to Google Workspace is this built with that consumer-grade usability. It puts people at the center to deepen connections between employees and customers, and even teams who have never met in person can feel like they're in the same room. So that's how we lead, right? That's basically the gist of our value proposition. We're going to make you work more helpful, more flexible, and more simply than you have before. So the second aspect is about our inherent advantages of a cloud-native solution. And we don't wait to bring up the competition because there's not, let's go back to that slide still, Jason. So still on number 2 here, we don't wait to bring up competition. We're trying to weave our cloud-native advantages into our storytelling, all right? So Google Workspace has consistent experiences across devices and platforms, over 2 billion users. It doesn't require training like Microsoft Teams. Microsoft has different versions, editions, different licenses and complexities between how customers can manage. They have products for the same uses, multiple ways to do seemingly the same tasks, but with different outcomes. And we'll talk about this later with Teams. There's a lot of different aspects of knowledge. Google Workspace enables users to access the right company information at the right time, thanks to centrally stored knowledge in the cloud. So you can avoid context switching with integrated email chat, linked content, and interactive previews without changing context. We have a lot of strengths in search, particularly in Drive, Gmail, Chrome browser, cloud search. Microsoft, there's a lot of different places where information can be stored, different editions, mobile, different versions, different tools. With Google for security, Google Workspace keeps all data stored centrally in the cloud, which helps you to stay safe, keep things monitored. And this last one for culture, Microsoft doesn't change behaviors. And we talked about that on the previous slide with the behavior study that we did. Change is optional because you can stay with Office and keep on working the way you have. But with Google Workspace, it becomes a catalyst to reconsider processes, not built on legacy decisions. After you've done that, this third step, you really need to tailor your message to what's going to be best for your customer, right? So a couple of points that I like to highlight here with Android, for example, over 80% of the world uses Android, and it's a standard for company-owned devices. So Android is preloaded with Google mobility services like Gmail, which now includes, chat baked into it, and Drive, and Photos, and YouTubes, and Maps. So that makes it easier to provision new corporate devices. And then another one is Google Homes. So Google Workspace connects into Google Nest and leverages Google Assistant for commands. I'm actually joining this meeting right now through my Nest Hub too. So now going on to the next slide. So with that competitive framing in mind, there isn't really a one-step, one-size-fits-all approach to your customers, as they're all different. So I'm going to talk through a few different types of competition that you're likely to encounter, and some recommendations for how you can position and think about this. So the first one up is laggards, right? So you need to really show the value of Google Workspace. These are customers who haven't changed for a long time. They've been approached about change. There's something that is preventing them from making this change? It could be cost, it could be a lack of need, it could be that they just haven't been shown the right way to do it, right? So you need to show how real-time collaboration works, how working in a doc works, how while you're working in a doc with someone, oh, I see Jason's in this document, now we're going to join a meeting. You need to show them how those tools can work and how it can be a lot simpler to use, and then show how things have changed to be more helpful, right? You know, and try to leverage different things. The second one on room for improvement, this is where the changes have not been made as part of a transformation. They either fill the gap left by another legacy product for video conferencing or chat, or they were convinced on a licensing logic, but not really on real change. So some examples here might be O365 Zoom, and Slack. You know, some good signs to look out for here. You know, if you see an account that has Zoom and Slack being used in it, there's a very high probability that they're using Google Drive for shadow IT as well. So you can also look into that. But, you know, some other thoughts that I want to highlight here are, you know, processing. So Slack's roadmap is going to change to what's best for Salesforce and may not be integrated with Quip. So we'll see in 5 or 6 months, but it's not as beneficial to Slack customers who aren't using Salesforce. There's also an additional cost that comes with the management of these best-of-breed standalone tools like Zoom as well, where the entire solution is based upon a single use case, in this scenario, video conferencing, versus on the end-to-end experience, right? Which is something that we want to reach. So really the value for the room for improvement is you want to talk about the experience, the value of saving time, saving money, and simplicity of management. You know, there's a lot of companies, when they have a diverse ecosystem like this, they don't have one partner to look at. Maybe different partners are managing all these different tools. That's a great opportunity for Ingram to kind of position and, you know, take an opportunity there. And then there's this third group, right? And this group has really already been transformed in some way, right? They've gone with M365. They're on a subscription model. They're using Teams. And I would say that for this group, you know, you need to be strategic in the opportunities that you choose, right? That means if they're on M365, that means that they've made a decision to go with Microsoft in the past 2 years on a, you know, 3+ year agreement. So you really need to have some reason. You need a more strategic story for why you're going to sell into those accounts. So there's a couple of things that you can look for. One thing that I've found interesting is Google Assistant. So, you know, according to independent research, it's the smartest digital assistant tool available, with, you know, double-digit result advantages in commerce and navigation searches over the next leading provider. So, you know, I don't really have strong recommendations for this already transformed, just that you're going to need the storytelling here, I think, to be beyond what we're already saying with Google Workspace. You're going to need to tie it more towards their business outcome, their values, you know, other parts of Google. So just something to keep in mind. All right, so that's a little bit about framing. Now we're going to transition on to talking about Microsoft's positioning evolution. So what you can see here really is just through 2018. If, you know, if you're new to selling Google Workspace, you know, just some high-level backgrounds here. Basically, the choice at the beginning with Microsoft was you can have your cake and eat it too, right? You can keep on having the same Office tools, and this is referring to the top line in green, while also having access to your O365 web-based tools. So that's kind of the promise that, you know, never brings any usage change, because what ends up happening is that there's no catalyst to change the way that you work, because the Office desktop tools don't have the same depth of functionality capability. They're actually two different product teams and how they're created at Microsoft. So that was kind of, you know, the direction that they went. Well, if Google is going to have a message of native on the cloud, we can have a message of our cloud product too, right? So then in 2018, what we see start to happen is Microsoft starts to evolve that story. They start to embed Teams more as a tip of their selling story with O365, and then they bundle it, which happened actually just this past April, with M365 as a standard offering, which now is going to change their positioning to include Windows and additional security features in addition to what they're selling with Office. Where they're going from here is it's going towards a lot of automation. You might have heard about Microsoft Viva. It's about a lot of analytics and different capability functions for how they're trying to make data citizens available to leverage different technologies. So a lot of exciting things that we see happening with Microsoft, and their positioning continues to evolve, in similar and different ways from what we're doing with Google. I want to now talk about understanding and counter-positioning Microsoft Teams. With that said, this is the product that you're all going to run into. Like I talked about on a prior slide, if the customer is on M365, you're going to need to be judicious in deciding what opportunities you want to pursue. But with Teams, there are a lot of issues that are going on with it, right? And I think it's important for this group to know. So I'm just going to start with this first pillar and this first column, and let's understand Teams architecture. So with sharing, for example, sharing documents can be done via team chats, SharePoint, OneDrive, commonly sent via Outlook. This causes a lot of confusion and many duplicated files, which leads to content sprawl and difficulty finding content you want to use and when you need it. When we look at calendars too, there's a separate Teams calendar to the one in Outlook, and users have to go to the Outlook calendar to view group calendars, which Teams can't support. This results in a huge amount of content switching, which impacts and slows workflows and is also challenging for frontline workers who don't have an email or calendar in their plan. From a configuration perspective, Teams requires a retention policy separate from other Microsoft workloads, where users create specific policies for Teams chat channel messages and private channel chat messages that aren't supported for retention. Only standard channel messages are. So Teams doesn't support advanced retention policies like keyword based on specific information that would have been configured in Exchange. The way that you save data, Teams records and has been saved in Microsoft Stream, but earlier in this quarter, users will now have to save into OneDrive and SharePoint. So that lets you save to OneDrive for individual, SharePoint for org, and then also what you save locally onto your device. And then versioning, users cannot be a producer or presenter of a meeting unless they're using the desktop version of Teams, which is contrary to the benefits of Teams, moving online and always having, the latest set of features, right? So you see there's a lot of redundancy in how it's built. It leverages other tools, and the configuration and, access rules for accessing Teams, that creates a lot of confusion. It also, if you look at the second column, it eats up a lot of battery. Of course, it looks good in a demo with no data, but the more information that's added, the slower it gets. So this isn't a concern that a prospect is going to see having done a demo where it's just, one example, but they would see it if they kept on using it, right? So this is a problem that kind of goes on and on. And then this third column point, Microsoft is telling customers email is dead, and this isn't real. It's not going away. It requires so much training on how to use Microsoft that it's force-feeding customers, and when you think about that, in addition to the dependencies of other tools that burden the experience and the processing power that goes into it, you probably aren't going to be surprised to hear, and I forget the source of the article, it might have been VentureBeat, but there was an article that came out in July that only 20% of users are using beyond the basic chat capabilities in Teams. So, it's very complex. It can do a lot of things, but no one's actually using it to do those things because it's too complicated to use. And once you think about deploying it to a large enterprise, and trying to manage it with different access levels, it can really become quite difficult. Okay, so now we're going to move on and stop talking about Microsoft, and we're going to start talking about planning with a purpose, right? So going on to this next slide now, you need to be protective of your time and make sure that you're speaking with the right roles, right? So I've got a couple of points here that I want to highlight. So for your framework to establish mutual commitment to a cross-functional evaluation of Google Workspace, this is a must-have, right, Jason? And there's a couple of hidden clicks here. So Jason, you might as well just do 2 clicks right now. These are the points I really want to get to. I know we're running out of time here. Prospects unwilling to engage in a mutual evaluation plan are not worth the time, right? You need to be defensive of your time. Make sure that they want to really invest into the process of this sales cycle, and that they're willing to commit the time to do that. The other part of this is you need to make sure that you're talking to the right roles who are going to be able to help you get from point A to point B, right? So if you're not talking really with the C-suite, right, you need to eventually get to the C-suite. If you can't get there, there's going to be some problems for how you can continue to deliver the deal. So those were the points I wanted to highlight there. Jason, if you could jump to the next slide. And then also probably the most important thing for you to know when you're up against Microsoft is you need to understand their timeline for their existing enterprise agreement, right? Essentially, the best targets for us to deal with are customers who have, 12 plus months of time before the renewal. So this is optimal for Google, for our sellers and for our partners. The customers typically work with their Microsoft account 6 to 12 months before renewing their enterprise agreement. So, if you guys are leveraging Salesforce or whatever your CRM is, your AEs should be denoting to those accounts when the Microsoft EA is. So that can help you plan how you can approach those accounts in the future as well. If you don't have that information for now, essentially, it's going to take enough processing time and things that happen. You just need to have an idea of when their EA is going to end. Most of the time, you'll find that it's at the end of June, which aligns to Microsoft's fiscal year. But just some notes here to keep in mind, and I'm sure we'll share these slides out. And then this final point that I'll get to before I hand it over to Jason is that we do have an excellent coexistence story with Microsoft. So there's a lot of different ways that we can integrate in with Microsoft, and this document shares the link to a report that really goes through a lot of great detail of how we can do those interactions. The essential point to remember, though, here is just that when it comes to a chat coexistence, that's not really possible yet, right? So there can be a Google chat, there can be a Teams chat. Teams messages cannot be integrated into Google Chat right now. But an organization using Outlook and Gmail, using Google Calendar, using Drive, using OneDrive, those are all things that we deal with customers on a daily basis. So those are all very possible. And with that, let me hand it over to Jason.
Hey, Kevin, thank you. Thank you so much. It was great. Okay, guys, just going to speed it up here just a touch so we can leave some room for our Kahoot. As we know, we have the go-to-market hub for marketing materials. Partners can co-brand. We also have the Google Partner Advantage program, which is a unique offering, which is basically our one-stop destination for everything from latest news to resources to trainings to providing marketing assets, anything, whether it is for Google Cloud or just partner engagements. This is no cost. Of course, it's free. We just require enrollment, and this is also part of our Ingram authorization process. With the help of our OEM teams, this is where we really pull in devices. Obviously, at Ingram here, this is our key advantage when we talk true, better together, and also a value for our partners. Google Workspace for all their collaboration tools and productivity suites, and then pulling in Chrome Enterprise for the management and the device management licenses that can be paired with it. Also, too, mark your calendars for our upcoming webinar on the 17th. We're going to take a deeper dive into Google Workspace. And also, we're holding monthly office hours the third Wednesday of every month for your partner engagements. Whatever questions are out there, this deck will become shareable, of course. Use those links to send out to your partners to make sure they can attend. Jody, not leaving you too much time. We're going to roll right through the Q&A. If you have any questions, feel free to continue to drop them in the box. If we don't get an answer to you today, I'll be sure to respond offline. But that's it for me. Jody, over to you for our Kahoot. Jody, I think you might be muted.
That would be the case, Jason.
There we go.
I think it's fair to say that a lot of very valuable information was shared this morning and this afternoon. I want to really thank Sandeep and Kevin from Google and Jason, our trusted Ingram Micro Google team leader. Well done, guys. I know the second reason why everyone joined us today was to play the Kahoots game. So if you haven't loaded the Kahoots app onto your phone, please do that now. It's Kahoots One Play and Create on the App Store. As a reminder, we wanted to let you know that the deck is going to be shared after today, and the recording will be available on Go-to-Market Hub. And if you have the app open now, go ahead and enter the PIN number so we can start, so you can join the game. And once I see a bunch of people in there, we'll go ahead and get started. Looks like we've got a good group started. So at the end of the strategy week, the team leaders are going to be sending out prizes. So please to make sure to use your real name so they know how to contact you. If you have any questions regarding the presentation or need any additional information, please ping me after the Kahoots game on Teams. I'm Jody Jepson, and that's Jepson, J-E-P-S-O-N. So we're getting a good group going here. I think there's Quinn. I think we'll go ahead and start the game now. Oop, good. Got a couple more in. By 2023, over what % of organizations will have questioned their incumbent productivity suite choice? Is it 30%, 18%, 32%, or 26%? There we go. The right answer is 30%. Let's see where we are. Okay, Alex, you're top of the list.
Nice job, Alex.
Now,
Thanks, guys.
counter positioning your conversation about teams can include, make sure to check all that apply. Architecture is intertwined in various tools. Email conversation is not dead. Excessive use of battery life or extended warranty is not available. Please make sure to check all that apply.
You need
There
some
we go.
countdown music, Jody.
Oh, let me turn it up. I have some.
Oh, do you? That's funny. I was kidding, but that's awesome.
Ooh, there we go. Ryan jumps ahead.
Oh, he did, and Quentin second there.
Okay, next question is, Google Workspace competitive position is based on cloud narrative. Benefits including, select all that apply. It's flexible, it's simple, it's helpful, or it streamlines. And there you go. We've got flexible, helpful, and simple are the correct answers. Okay, Ryan still remains the top. Understanding customer needs and existing solutions to improve competitive positioning includes laggard, already transformed, room for improvement, or all of the above. There we go. All of the above. You've got that right.
Just about everyone got that one.
Yeah.
Oh.
And there we go. We have a new winner at the top of the leaderboard. Okay, our last question is a multiple select. Best targets to maximize your time include not yet upgraded, using other Google products, tech savvy, or a mixed workforce company. Ooh, it's a little split there, but you are right. It's all of them. So let's see who are our winners. Ryan comes in third. Rick is second.
Awesome. Who's our
And
first?
our winner is Aya. Wonderful.
No,
Thank you, guys.
it's Alia. You can ignore me and for first. I don't want to win. I'll pass it on to Rick and Ryan. Sorry.
Okay.
It's Alia from Canada.
Aya's on our Canadian Google team,
Yeah,
so thanks,
exactly.
Alia, for tuning in.
That's what I
Good
was
to see you got the knowledge over there that comes with
I
it.
didn't see it. Sorry. Yeah, so Rick will be number one, then Ryan.
Well, Rick and Ryan, awesome guys. I can say both of them do certainly pitch a lot of Google, and a lot of opportunities come their way. So nice to see.
Well, thank you guys for joining today. I really appreciate it. And again, if you have any questions, go ahead and ping either Jason or myself, and the recording will be on the Go-to-Market Hub. So thank you, and have a great rest of the week at the sales strategy.
Thanks, guys.